want to share with you why a lot of people are shocked when they take the PMP exam, whether they pass or not. There's a shock factor. And I want to share with you why that happens. One of the major reasons why this happens is people are not cognizant of the fact that the PMI cannot test you on everything. Now, when I say everything, I want you to journey with me and reflect in your mind about the enormity of content on the exam. This is one of my custom maps on Agile. This shows you what happens in the world of Agile. You can see there are 12 things. If I throw in a couple more, we're going to have 14 items that you need to understand. And this is just at the higher levels. If you go through the Agile practice guide, you're going to find that there are hundreds of definitions. At the back of the book, at least 100 plus. Now let's dial into the world of predictive project management. If you haven't already explored predictive, be aware that there's quite a lot of stuff for you to know. For a start, there are 5 process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and closing. Each of those process groups has tens of processes. In fact, 2, 24, 10, 12, 1. You're beginning to see a progression here where things are blown out. Now, if I take every one of those process groups and I blew them out more into what we call different knowledge areas, you're going to have the 10 knowledge areas of integration all the way on down to stakeholder. If I blow that out more, you have the concept of the 12 principles of project management at the base. Now, I could blow out each one of those knowledge areas. And for example, in integration, each one of these components could appear at any point in time. And note that every one of these processes has things that you do in there. We call these tools and techniques. And we also have outputs, things that you get out. So imagine just needing to understand this high-level concept and then dial down a little bit more into some granularity that could appear at any time. In my estimation of things, let's take a look at schedule, which is a notorious one, due to its volume of content. By the time you dial into each one of these at a lower level, you're going to find that there is a ton of stuff that the PMI could test you on. So the shocker comes when you go into the exam and you're expecting to find all the formulas, or maybe not formulas anymore. People are wise now. But I'll say a bunch of concepts you studied. Maybe you opened up the 7th edition and you were reading the models and you're so sure you're going to get one model question. You spend hours on it. Surely one of them's going to show up. But by the time you're done with the test, not one single model showed up. And you're in dismay. How come I spend so much time? Or maybe you're spending a bunch of time in the methods. And again, you studied all of these methods. I mean, tens and tens of methods that you see on the screen. Not one shows up. So what am I saying in essence? The summary of all I'm saying, my friends, is you do not have any area promised to you. You do not have any of the 500 plus items promised to you. We've got tools, techniques, outputs. We've got inputs. We've got the methods, models, artifacts. We've got the Agile practice guide definitions. We've got PMP guide 6 definitions, PMP guide 7th definitions, and a lot more. But they're not promised to you. What does this mean? It means you have to study a lot of content to firm up your chances of success. I've heard people in the past few weeks say, wow, I never heard that term, Phil. What's Parkinson's law? I never heard that term, Phil. What's student syndrome? They're all there. There's just so much content that it is possible to blow past stuff. And I want you to understand this because PMI is not obligated to give you a question on earned value. Just because Bobby got one doesn't mean you're going to get one. Just because someone got a question on Tuckman's ladder or any of those other concepts, motivational theories, organizational theories, someone got a question on it doesn't mean you're going to. And you shouldn't look at it like they did me bad. Nothing I studied came out. No, it's a lot of content. You really got to sink your teeth in. Another shocker on the exam is this. When people go into the test, they expect to see stuff that is pretty light in terms of, I expect to see maybe 3 lines, 2 lines, maybe a 1-line question. No. Again, none of this is promised to you. You could go into the exam and you could have a beast of a question that has 4 lines. Easy. You could find one that has 5 lines. You could find some that have 3 lines. You could find questions that have 2 lines, but the answer options, A, B, C, D, have 2 lines each. That gives you a boatload of stuff to read. So again, the assumption that because Jill and Jack got short questions, therefore you will, it does not hold true. You cannot assume what you're going to expect. And that's why you got to go in with your A game. Let me show you a few more examples in that vein. So someone goes into the test and sees, let's say, 30% of questions like this, and they're like, wow, these are much longer than my practice questions. Yes, true. It does happen. Let's examine this question. An experienced project manager on a hybrid project resigns and a new project manager joins the team during the initial assessments of project documentation. The new project manager discovers that the impediment log has not been updated for the past month. What should the project manager do first? Now, I'm not going to get caught up on the questions and the answers. No. I'm going to spend time dialing into the anatomy of questions. So this mindset can help you on the exam. When you find a question, every question, for the most part, will have a final sentence that asks you to choose something from the options. Now, that is what I would call the real question. So everything else is not the real question. This part that I'm going to frame in blue, this is just a scenario. An experienced project manager resigns, new project manager joins the team. Right there. That's really the scenario. Now, there's a part of the question that holds the problem. This part that I'm going to highlight in red is the problem. During the initial assessment of project documentation, the new project manager discovers that the impediment log has not been updated for the past month. There's the problem. And here is the real question. What should the project manager do first? So I want you to keep this in mind. Whether your question has 10 lines, 5 lines, 4 lines, it follows this: situation, problem, question. And I want you to remember this, something your buddy Phil helped you with. Refer to it as the situation, problem, question model. The trick is used all the time. Now, this is just SPQ. It could get worse. Now, there are other tricks we question writers have, other things that are inserted in between the S and the Q. Now, some questions are going to be situation. Watch this, because this could help someone. Distraction. And then the real problem afterwards. And then a question. The SDPQ are stinkers. I'm telling you, those distractors, they usually work so well on people who are clueless that distractors are actually in the question. Did you know that every option that is not the right answer is a distractor. So amongst all of these, there are 3 distractors. They're distracting you from the real answer. So that theme of distractor, even if it's not baked into the question, that's an SPQ, you will find it in the answers. They're all trying to distract you, all trying to get your attention. Choose me, choose me. But you really need to dial in and choose the right thing. That's how the game is played. Now, there are some questions that are not SDPQ, and you got to look out for these. You got S, P, and then the distractor. And if you're not careful, whether it's SDPQ or SPDQ, they'll trip you up. And you know what some people's biggest problem is? It's not realizing where the distractor comes in. And they latch onto that distractor and they choose the wrong option. Now, this question is pretty docile. It's pretty safe. It makes sense. So if you look at the options, consult the team to understand the current state of impediments. Is there anything anti-agile in that? Is there anything bad in that? Okay, let's take a look at B. Examine the issue log for risks and issues, not on the impediment log. There's something wrong with that. Issues and risks are not the same. So you want to examine the issue log for risks. So that immediately has to be disqualified. So you would use process of elimination to cross out B. C, escalate the matter to the product owner since they own this backlog. That's a lie. Again, the product owner doesn't own the impediment log. This is something that the team should take ownership of, but also the Scrum Master or the servant leader should also be part of that. So it would be wrong to say product owner since they own the backlog. This needs to be more of a collective thing than it's mine, it's mine. No, you're the facilitator of it. If you're the Scrum Master, obviously you're the impediment remover, the roadblock remover, but there's no mine when it comes to this. So C needs to be removed. D says, check in with the business analyst, as this is usually their job. Again, a made-up term, business analyst. Not to say they don't exist. It says a hybrid project. So again, you got to temper your agile awareness with what you know in the world of predictive. And there's nowhere where PMI said the business analyst does the impediment log. You won't find that anywhere if you've done your homework. So in this case, using the process of elimination, it makes sense to choose A. Everything else, distractors. And this is why some people find the exam to be insanely tricky. I hope this helps you and guides you know what to expect. You could have very long questions. You could have some questions that are short, but they really make you think because the options have got very little variation. But whatever you do, don't expect to find a certain number or pieces of what you studied. PMI can come from any angle. Some people say, my goodness, they just dial down on risk over and over and over and over. It was like my exam was all risk. We've heard people say my exam was so much risk, my exam was so much stakeholder, my exam was so much people. You don't know. The exam is no respecter of what you studied. It's not promised to you. All you've got is the 35 tasks. It is for this reason, my friends, that I put together a free program. That's right, totally free. And it's over 25 hours of content. Now, if you haven't encountered this program, I want you to dial into it. It's right there on YouTube. In fact, if you just go on down to the Praizion channel and you type in 40 days to PMP exam success, you'll see it. There's no catch. All I need you to do is to focus, and spend time wisely going through each day. There are 40 days. Spend time. Give it everything you've got. Don't hold back. Let me show you what it looks like. So this is 40 days to PMP exam success. Right over here. You can see Everything is here from day one, which maps back to task 1 in the PMP exam content outline, all the way down 77 videos later. And you encounter day 40. This is what you need to help guide your studying. This is more of a study tool. It's to guide your studying to get to excellence. Because a lot of you are like, I want to study, but I don't know what to say. Well, study this 40 days. Lock in with me. Lock in with me. Task 1, task 2. It's all there. And each day I give you open-ended questions. And not just that, I actually have multiple choice questions that further test you on the concepts we've discussed. 40 days to PMP exam success. It's totally free. Now, as a guide, you can get our PMP exam immersion book, and all the information is in the videos. But even without that book, you can get a whole lot of mileage as other people have. Thank you very much, my friends. Remember, no topic on the exam. Earn value, Tuckman's ladder. No topic is promised to you. Bye for now.